Are you aware of the miracle evacuation of Dunkirk? Dr. Marshall Foster is the founder of the World History Institute. In his February 2015 issue of his World History Institute journal, Dr. Marshall Foster recounts that at the beginning of World War II, before America entered the war, there was a miracle evacuation of British troops at Dunkirk, France. In the 1940s, another crisis of faith in Europe was solved by a man of faith. Europe was paralyzed with fear of the Nazi juggernaut. They had just come through World War I, which had killed an entire generation of their men. Now they faced Adolf Hitler. Most people in Europe and America were cowering before the Nazi war machine. Millions of the French flocked to their cabarets, drinking their fears away. The English also were living in a dream world of peace. Their Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, even signed a peace in our time treaty with Hitler just a few months before the Germans started World War II. Dr. Marshall Foster explained that it took the Germans only weeks to destroy the French army and trap the English army of 400,000 men on the coast of Belgium at Dunkirk. During this crisis, with the imminent fall of England and all of Europe at hand, the English called up an old Christian warrior, Winston Churchill, to be their prime minister. Churchill and the king called the people of England back to God in a day of repentance and prayer on May 26, 1940. As the leaders and millions of English met and wept in faith that day, God answered their prayers. Through the miracle at Dunkirk, 600 little boats ferried 330,000 soldiers back to Britain, right under the direct fire of Hitler's tanks and air force. God had turned the treacherous English Channel into a sea of glass and covered the sea with a blanket of fog, blinding the German planes. Dr. Marshall Foster explained further that within weeks, the entire continent fell to the Nazis. England faced a summer of massive bombing attacks by the Germans called the Blitz, in which almost 50,000 people perished. How could a 66-year-old political has-been turn the tide of tyranny against the greatest army in history? Winston Churchill almost single-handedly lifted a nation and the entire free world from hopelessness and fear through his example of faith and his powerful words. That first summer, when Germany's imminent invasion of England was coming, Churchill lifted the bar above politics to the real spiritual struggle between paganism and Christianity. Churchill said, "I expect the Battle of Britain is about to begin. Upon this battle depends the survival of Christian civilization." In another speech before Parliament, Churchill refused to listen to the voices of surrender. He said, "You ask what our aim is. I can answer in one word: victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory, however long and hard the road may be, for without victory there is no survival." Dr. Marshall Foster of the World History Institute pointed out that the premier weapon that defeated the Axis powers in World War II was not the bomb or America's manufacturing of war material. It was faith. And the spark that ignited that faith was Winston Churchill. He is considered by most historians to be the man of the century. Faith overcomes terror. Well, America and Britain has had a history of faith, and it's important for us to remember that in these times of crises, we again have to have faith.